Alright, so when we are subtracting fractions, we need a common denominator. So in order to find the common denominator, you need to have the denominators and factors. So let's go ahead and review factoring. So when we have a trinomial, there's three terms, and there's a 1 here. We're trying to think of what two numbers multiply to negative 20 and combine to positive 1. Okay, so what multiplies to negative 20, I made a list of numbers that multiply to just 20. And I need to think of which ones are going to add or subtract to make this 1 right here. So they have to multiply to make negative 20 and combine, add or subtract to make 1. So I'm thinking if we use the numbers 4 and 5, and we make this negative 4 and this positive 5, that would work. So negative 4 times positive 5 is negative 20, and negative 4 plus 5 is 1. So that works. Okay, so if we go back to our original problem, we now know that our denominator as factored is now written like this. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for the other denominator. So first of all, we have a trinomial. So we're going to take a times c. So 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. So we need to think of numbers that multiply to 8. But they have to add or subtract to negative 7. So if we had positive 1 and negative 8, they would multiply to negative 8, and they would combine to make negative 7. So we found our numbers. Next thing we do, we're going to take this, which is 2x, and put it in parentheses. Here and here. We have to put it in the beginning of the parentheses. And then we're going to take the two numbers, which was positive 1 and negative 8. And then we are going to see if anything can divide both of these, which nothing can but 1. So we leave it. And then over here, 2 can go into both of these, so we're going to divide them both by 2. And now we have our factored denominator. Okay, so if we go back to our original problem, we now know what this factors to. Okay, so here's our problem now with our denominators factored. So now it's time to find the least common denominator. So to do that, first of all, I'm going to take the first fraction, and I see an x minus 4. So I know I need x minus 4 as part of my least common denominator. And when I distribute it here, that's going to make that cancel with this one. I also need an x plus 5. So that way when I distribute it here, those will cancel out. Okay, now let's take a look at the second fraction here. Here we see a 2x plus 1. So we need to include a 2x plus 1 here. So that way when it's distributed here, it's going to cancel out with that 2x plus 1. Now when this x minus 4 is distributed here, it's going to cancel out with this one. So I don't need to put an x minus 4 because it's already here. So our common denominator is x minus 4 times x plus 5 times 2x plus 1. So this is our common denominator. Alright, now that we have our common denominator, we need to rewrite the fractions with it. Okay, so we're going to write our fraction with our common denominator. And think about if we distributed this to this fraction here. The x minus 4 is going to cancel with the x minus 4, the x plus 5 and the x plus 5, but what we need is this 2x plus 1 multiplied by this x plus 2. So the x plus 2 needs to be multiplied by the 2x plus 1, and it doesn't matter what side the 2x plus 1 goes. We could put it here, or we could write it where I put it there. Okay, now we have a minus and a 3x. So if we think of this being distributed with this fraction, the 2x plus 1 would cancel with that 2x plus 1, and the x minus 4 would cancel with this x minus 4, but what we have is this x plus 5 that needs to be multiplied with the negative 3x there. So we have the x plus 5. Alright, so next we need to simplify the numerator, so we need to figure out, I'm going to start with this first. So we're going to go ahead and FOIL this. Okay, then we're going to take this negative 3x and we're going to distribute it here. So we would have negative 3x squared minus 15x. So we need to combine everything. So we're going to combine this and this here. So we can put this and this together. And this was all over our common denominator. Okay, so the next thing is we have to see, can this be simplified to fraction? So first of all, I see that we have a trinomial, but this has a negative 1. So I'm going to take out the negative 1. I'm going to take out the GCF of a negative 1. And remember, when I pull out a negative 1, all it does is it changes all the signs. So this now to a positive, the negative 10x to a positive 10x, the positive 2 to a negative 2. That's what happens when we put a negative 1 in front of a parenthesis. Okay, now we need to see if x squared plus 10x minus 2 can be factored. So we have to take c, we have to think about, is there anything that multiplies to negative 2 but adds or subtracts to 10? So that's not possible. There's nothing we can do. So this cannot be further simplified. This is already our final answer here. So our answer to this problem can be this. This would be a great answer, as well as if we left it like this. Either way would be correct. The reason why we don't have to have it written like this way is because pulling out this negative 1 ended up not doing anything. So that's why this is also an acceptable answer.